can I help you, sir?
I'm guessing you're the manager of the store, right?
I'm the assistant customer service manager.
I was just wondering, that incident that happened over there, like, how did you know that something was even happening? Because you went over there, right?
I was not over there, no. I just was brought to my attention that something might be happening, and I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Who told you that? I'm just curious.
Does it really matter if someone?
Well, yeah. I mean, considering what happened, yeah, I think that does kind of matter, don't you think? Like, somebody had to told you, but both of the people involved never left. I didn't see them.
But everything went okay, though.
Well, I mean, you still haven't. Like, why wouldn't you just say such and such told me?
But it doesn't. But it's not a secret. But it doesn't matter who told me as long as everything's okay.
Well, I mean, it was okay. I mean, but like I said, like when your employees do stuff that I feel is inappropriate, that's not okay for me.
And what was inappropriate, if you don't mind me asking?
The approach that the guy came with two people, and he aggressively kind of cornered me and was just asking me a bunch of questions as to like what was if I was okay, if what was going on with me and all that.
So one of them was just saying that he was going to break, and the other one he was training. And we have a policy here in Publix called the 10-foot, 10-second rule. So they were just asking if you needed help.
And then he was just like, he never saw me before. And I was just like, I come in here a lot.
I understand that.
Well, what I'm saying is that, look, I don't, I get it. I've lived in this community for a long time, if I could be blunt with you. So, like, what I've learned from being in the community is that when people have a problem with you, for liability reasons, they're kind of passive aggressive with it. So like, okay, we have a system that is designed to protect all people so that we can all function as a society, and we have a system. So, not accusing you, just saying that in the past, I've noticed that people try to undermine the system. What I mean is that you can passive aggressively start a conflict with a person who is completely innocent so that it escalates. Now, once it escalates, you can use that as an excuse to get rid of the person by banning them. So, like, if you aggressively came to an innocent that was just completely nasty to him, but you did it passive aggressively, you didn't break any rules, that person would be antagonized. So then you escalate it, say whatever you want, sort of just kind of mock them a little bit until it reaches a threshold. And then you're like, this guy's belligerent, therefore we can Jim Crow him by just banning him. I'm not saying that you did that. I'm saying that in the past, lots of people have been wrongfully, vanquished from places by people who use this passive aggressiveness to sort of Jim Crow them a little bit. So, like, if your guys come approach me and they do it in a nasty, aggressive way, my natural human response is to meet that with aggression. So if I meet that with aggression, you get involved, and you're like, well, this guy's a problem. He's going crazy, and we all feel threatened by him, and let's just ban the guy. So what I'm saying is, I'm not accusing you, but in the past, I've known people who've talked about this with me. I've known people, and they told me this. They said, I went into this place, didn't do anything to anybody, and then this person comes over there, and he's so nasty. He comes at me aggressively. Like, if I say, how you doing, sir, and politely, you're not going to get offended by it. Now, if I come into your face and kind of get in your face and was like, how you doing, sir? There is an approach.
Okay. Yeah.
So one way is appropriate. The other way is kind of like I'm trying to intimidate you, and then I have you have your person, like I say, you kind of get in behind me, like, yeah, like I'm in your face a little bit, like staring you down. That approach escalates situations. So if your people were perfectly polite, nobody's gonna feel any way about that. But if they're like, hey, sir, they're very nice and sweet, you're like, okay, this guy's nice. Now, if your people are like, sort of looking at you like they don't like you, and then they're kind of aggressive, in a situation like that, most people are going to be like, you're going to be offended by that. You're going to be like, well, what's your problem? Once you interact with that person and say, what's your problem, then you hook them. The hook's in. And you say, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. And it just builds, and it builds. And it gets to the point where the police are here, and the security's here, and you're like, this guy's banned. Now, when the person initially walked into that store, they did nothing wrong. But the triggers that went from point A to point B to point C allowed a situation that never should have existed to turn into something where a person walked in the store didn't cause any problems to the point where they can no longer go to the store. So I think that what I'm saying here is I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I'm saying that your language is not as important. Your actual vocal language is not as important as your body language. Like everything that you do is kind of part of the whole system. Like you can't say that everything is innocent simply because you didn't say the wrong things. Like if you have negative body language, or if you're aggressive, or if you're anything like that, can escalate a situation. So what I was trying to explain to the person coming over is I was like, it's not so much as what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. Okay, so like if he approaches me in an aggressive way and he's staring me down, my natural response is to be offended by that. Okay, so what I'm saying is that I've known people who were good people, they didn't do anything wrong, and for some reason, you know, they just were like, well, this happened. And I'm like, well, okay, I kind of see that too, because, you know, I've gone to places and I don't do anything wrong. Like I mind my business, and I see people, even outside people, just antagonizing me passive aggressively. I wanted to bring this to your attention because it's very common for stuff like that to happen in this area. And I wasn't trying to give your guy a hard time. I felt that like it was more of just it seemed like he was trying, the way he approached me, that I felt like there was a problem with that.
Okay.
So he approached me aggressively, and then he approached me for another person, and then the third person just so happened to come along, and no one knew why he was there. There was like a lot of coincidences, like, and they, you know, it was like when you had two people, so he wasn't alone. So I was like, I've never been in here and there were two people there. And then the third guy comes in, and I even mentioned this. I was like, this guy had no idea that there was even an issue here, and he's already up here. So that's why I wanted to bring that to your attention, because it's sort of a way of undermining our justice system, in my opinion. Not accusing you at all. Simply saying that in the past, I've known people who have said that this has happened to them, and these were good people. They didn't deserve for that to happen to them. I mean, if you're coming in here, you just want to buy your groceries, you want to sit down and enjoy your drink, but then there's all these people trying to antagonize you passive aggressively. That's not fair that's not fair. You wouldn't want to go through that. I wouldn't want to go through that, and no one else would want to go through that. So what I'm saying is that I'm not upset so much as the fact that this guy just innocently came over and kind of asked me a question. His body language and demeanor was aggressive.
Okay, I get that.
Super aggressive. That's what triggered me. So he comes over and he has a frown on his face and he's staring me down. So I'm just looking at this guy like he's setting off negative energy.
Okay.
Like he's being negative in a way that I think you can relate. Okay, like if I come at you and I approach you a certain way with a certain demeanor, it's not friendly anymore, and what I say doesn't matter because your demeanor and your body language is hostile. And you pick up on that. We subconsciously pick up on stuff like that. So I would imagine that in a situation in which that happened, you could technically say that you didn't break any policy, because on the book, I don't think it really covers that. But the people that you approach are going to naturally pick up on it. So if a person doesn't do anything wrong and they don't do anything to bother anybody, they're just minding their business, they don't deserve to be approached in any kind of aggressive way. So I wanted to make you aware of the situation because, like I said, it's not so much about what's said, it's also about how. And it was unusual for the guy to approach me, period. I come in here all the time, I swear, you've never done that. You've never said anything. You say it's policy. I go to both this location, I go to 3 locations. No one ever says it. So I thought that was weird in itself because I was like, I've been shopping at Publix for years. No one has ever asked me anything. Just saying.
I understand. Yeah. So Publix policy is to do 10. If they're in a 10-foot radius of you, you have 10 seconds to ask them how they're doing, if they can help you. I don't think that he was approaching you with any malice. I think it might have just been a miscommunication of body language, as you were saying. And I do think that like he was trying to help you, and it was unfortunate that there was a coincidence of he had someone training you. He was training someone, and he is the shift lead for the night.
Fair enough. I'm just saying, going forward, maybe it'll be safer just to be like, don't say anything, because like you can't expect me to simply just allow people to sort of make things negative for me. Like, what reason would I have to come over here and even say that if he was friendly? Like, if he was friendly, like, why would I do that? I would just been happy that he spoke to me literally. No one is gonna, this wouldn't even be a situation if it was friendly. Like, no one, I'd have no reason to. Okay, I come in here all the time. What, today? Like, come on. Well, so, okay, I'm simply making you aware of that because that is something that should be brought to your attention. So, like, going forward, like, if a guy is aggressively trying to get in my face or something, like, you can't, just don't, if you can't just, if the body language can't be correct, don't say anything. so that I don't have to put up with someone aggressively getting in my face and staring me down like he has some sort of beef with me, okay? Because I don't want to deal with that, and you can't really seem like we can't really, find any way of making sure that doesn't happen. So let's just play it safe, and your employees just don't speak to me at all. Maybe that's just the best way we can do it. I don't have to worry about that happening. You don't have to worry about whether they're aggressive or not aggressive, and we're going to leave it there. And I think that's fair for all parties concerned. Do you agree?
I will say that necessarily would be fair but I can't tell every associate that works here.
So I think it'll come
You
out
can't
to
do not talk to him, because
okay?
every associate is trained to help every single customer.
Well, okay. So what would you suggest we do to make sure that they're not like beefing with me or something when they say it? So because I'm just saying I don't want to have to deal with that toxicity.
What I want to get is.
So I'm just trying to figure out a way so that if a person approaches me in a way that I feel is inappropriate, I don't have to put up with that. I think you can understand my feelings.
I do understand that. I can approach this specific associate and talk to him on how to do better with the body language, with his body language, and show him how he could be better. But I cannot tell every associate, do not talk to this customer, because they are trained to help everyone.
Well, this is an interesting situation. Okay, well, maybe I'll be the bigger person and let it go. I was more or less just educating them on my feelings about it, really. Like I said, this is, we deal with this quite a bit, unfortunately. I've had friends who have known dealt with this. This is just, it's a work in progress for us to get to a place where we can be friendly with each other, okay? And I think that we have a couple people like myself really trying to flatten things out so that everybody's a little nicer, regardless of differences. I'm very different from you. I understand that. I understand you have a business to run. These people are your customers.
249, please, Jordan.
They support you, they support the business, and I'm like the rogue or the outsider. And I understand that, but I don't think that creating an atmosphere of confrontation is the right way to address the situation. So I think we sort of at some point need to just get past the pettiness and, look at the bigger picture. Like, one person doesn't make that big of a difference in the grand scheme. So I'm going to leave it there. I simply wanted to talk to you about the situation because the situation in my mind was inappropriate, and I wanted you to understand the way I saw it.
Absolutely.
So that you get where I'm coming from, and I wasn't trying to give the guy a hard time. Why would I do that? I come in and do this pretty much all the time. If not this one, it's the other one, or the other one, or you got like 3 or 4 in this area. I'm always in here. So if your employee did not act inappropriately in my eyes, this definitely wouldn't have been an issue.
No, I completely understand that.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully you can talk to the guy. Just saying. I'm going to not speak to your people just to be on the safe side. So just, they can speak to me. I don't have anything to say though. I'm just not speaking to
And that's perfectly fine.
And that's within my rights.
Absolutely. That's
so
perfectly
glad
fine.
we had this chat. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a great night.